Hey everybody, it's FrSky Steve. Welcome back to the O-20 series. And I am so sad to say we're on episode 19 and this fun is nearly over. We're almost done with this series, but let's get into where you can go to get help, because this tends to be a topic that somewhat needs to be addressed, and I will try to say this the most delicate way possible, but I do have to be realistic with people as well. We are looking at that. We're very, very, very fortunate to see our community grow. And I've been with the company now for 2 years, and it's really grown quite a bit since when I first started. And we love all of our users. We love the community. We love watching it grow. The situation is that there's a limited number of FrSky employees, and over the last 2 years, it really has not changed in North America. There's the same number of full-time FrSky employees. We did change some people out, but we've also added some more people in departments like accounting and as far as in the warehouse as well. But the point remains that there's just not enough full-time FrSky employees to go around, and there's lots of people who need help. And I would love to say that we can spend all of our time providing help. If we were to do that, just the employees that we have, if they did nothing else but answer phone calls and emails and text messages and questions night and day, we still wouldn't have enough people to help out with the amount of support. What we have is something that is a fairly sophisticated product, and there's a lot to it. But the good news is there's a lot of expertise out there, and we do have a very large community that is very intelligent and a lot of people willing to help out. So when it comes to myself and FrSky Ben, our job is to make sure that our retailers have merchandise, and my secondary goal is to make sure that I get out in front of as many of you people as possible, so you can know that we do exist as a company and you can get your hands on to the merchandise. And so I'm constantly traveling to different events throughout the United States. So Ben is as well. We tend to cover different types of events. I tend to cover a lot more fixed wing than he does, but the point is that we are keeping very active. Our service department is a great example. Somebody dropped their transmitter and broke 4 switches, and he's texting me right away, hey, how long will it take to get this back? I can't afford to be without a radio. And the thing I hate to tell him is, well, I don't know. I don't know, because maybe when the radio shows up, someone will be on the phone and they're on, our service guys on the 3rd hour of providing support to somebody. And after a while, I start to have to mention to these guys in service that we do love the enthusiasm and wanting to help everybody and anybody. We also need to make sure that people's merchandise gets repaired and out the door as well. So because of all this, we need to rely on the community, because this is such a large and interesting and vast topic. We need to rely on the overall community. The good news is that the community is vibrant and active all the time, and when someone texts me on the way to an event, they might not hear back from me for a few days, because sometimes these events are wall-to-wall people, and I'm sorry, it's just I can't get back to everyone in a timely manner. But you can ask a question in some of these groups and you can get an answer back within half hour, 45 minutes. It's amazing. We're going to cover all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some groups that we have. So for example, this is the official Ethos FrSky user group. And what we do, or I should say official FrSky Ethos group, and what we do is we cover topics pertaining to ethos in this group, and I really thought there would only be about 1,200 members maximum, but after a year, we have about 6,200 members, and it's just great. I mean, the amount of topics. Now, I do know it is a closed group. It says private group. And the reason why we have to do that is because we got people who want to sell shirts, who want to sell you stuff, who want to beg for stuff. We got people who want to marry you and move to another country. We got a lot of interesting things going on, and we kind of have to keep all the crap out of the group. So in order to do that, we have to keep it private. And therefore, if you're not really a social media person, I suggest making a fake, or not fake, but a very private Facebook profile. And you don't have to use your real name. You can be like Flying Dude number 3 if you wanted to be. And that way, and if for some reason you have a problem getting into the group, especially if it's a new profile, message me and I'll make sure you get added. Okay, so not only is it me, it's FrSky Ben, it's members of our management. We also have Dan Cahalejo, who's fantastic, and we have Adam Moss, who's just amazing when it comes to ethos. He's forgotten more about ethos than I'll ever learn. Just a great guy. So this is the best of the best, plus the members. Oh my God, we have some people who just are so helpful. But it comes down to the thing is like the questions we get. And I mean, there's no really specific questions, but we get stuff like this quite a bit. My transmitter isn't working with my receiver. What's wrong? And we don't know what transmitter, don't know what receiver, don't know what version of firmware. We don't know what version of Ethos, and we don't know exactly what he's done in order to try to make all this work. And so a lot of the times we have to help him unpack the question, and that takes 5 or 6 go-arounds before we finally get the information we need to answer the question. And sometimes these questions are so specific and so technical that the person who could possibly help out has already gone by the question and has no interest in it because it took 5 or 6 tries to unpack the information, and they're not paying attention to the thread. So a well-written question with lots of information will help you go a lot further. And the second one is kind of an emotional question. Somebody is upset because they were told that their plane would bind with a Radian UMX and it doesn't, and now they're mad at FrSky because someone told them some bad information. They need to use a multi-protocol module and things like that, but right away they're blowing attitude out. And when people approach the group with attitude, they often get shot down. And unfortunately, I know what it's like to be mad or frustrated or wherever else, but if you're in that place, perhaps it's best to wait a day or two and wait till you calm down a bit and ask a question and with less attitude, and you'll get help. And that's the thing. And that's the thing about the FrSky communities, you do get support. The third question is somebody who gives us lots of information about the transmitter, the receiver, and I can tell by the way it was written that the problem they have is that they're trying to calibrate the gyro used in the device configuration when they need to use Lewis scripts. This is the kind of question we can right away write back an answer and give them information. I have a nice document on stabilized receivers that they can follow along and get all their questions answered. So those are the kind of things I talk about as far as having appropriate, well, I wouldn't say appropriate, but more effective ways of asking questions. Another group that's really good is the RC groups. This is kind of an older group. This is a little bit different than Facebook. They work with threads, and lots of good threads on FrSky and Ethos and all sorts of other stuff in here. Again, Adam Moz is in this group. He's MAWZ. He tends to answer a lot of the questions that come up about FrSky. Fantastic group. Now, I've mentioned this before. GitHub is something that is what we use. You type GitHub and Ethos in Google, and you'll find this GitHub FrSky Ethos feedback community. And when you click inside of there, you're going to find stuff like this, where you'll see the releases for the latest version of Ethos. And then there's also issues. And if you click inside the issues, you'll find that there's all sorts of different issues. And you can see one guy, this one came up about 15 hours ago. He asked a question, and 4 people uh, gave him answer, 4 replies, so he's getting some work done on it. And you can kind of see that some of these things, people get help. Here's something of an idea for a new upgrade where they wanted the transmitter to automatically shut down after a certain amount of time. So if you accidentally leave your transmitter on, it will self turn off. And some people wrote back they don't want this at all, and other people thought it was a great idea. So it would be an opt-in, it would be a setting if this does happen. But these are the kind of things, ideas that we get, they're provided in this community. This community is not really for asking general questions, it's more of reporting issues, a bug. And what you might want to do is go back to the Ethos group, or one of the, there's probably 30 different groups in Facebook for FrSky, and kind of ask around inside these groups and maybe see if your problem is just unique to yourself, or if it's a part of maybe a larger problem. And if it is part of a larger problem, people will recommend that you go to GitHub and that you actually fill out one of these issues, or open an issue up, and hopefully when you get support, it helps the rest of the community as well. So you can look in Google. Google is not really the greatest place for looking for help for Ethos. Unfortunately, there's actually a better place to look. I would say that going inside of YouTube, and I don't know, let's say that you want TDSR10 firmware, or something like that. And so there's somebody who has a video on registering and binding the TDSR10. Lots of information out there. And so even I put something out about this as well. So there's a good place to look. We do have a manual. I will say the manual it's updated every time we update Ethos. We're in this thing right now called an agile update cycle, which means that we're coming out with about 2 updates a month until we get Ethos 1.5.x to the point where we feel it's pretty solid. And once we get to that point, we're going to go back to a waterfall update cycle, and it's going to slow down more so than you might remember in the past. So there's going to be a lot more stability with this, especially as we roll into the year 2025. Our whole product line will be very stable as well. So it's going to be really a good time. And I would say that if you want to print this manual out, I would wait till 2025 when the updates are less frequent. Still, there's, I think, about 200 pages. Perhaps you're best off not printing it out, but just looking it up online and checking out for new versions of the manual from time to time. So with that, the last thing I will point out is that I have this thing up here. This address is bit.ly/FrSky info. So the F and the S in FrSky and the I in info are capitalized. And in there, I talk about where to go for help. I talk about the line of receivers. I talk about the stabilized receiver guide. I talk about the user manual. I talk about finding the Ethos suite. I talk about finding the Ethos simulator. I talk about finding service. I talk about where to find our website. So all in all, there's kind of really good information here and links out to things that are good. And I'm going to keep this updated as well. So you have just a plethora of great places to find information about FrSky, and I hope this video helps you. If you do have questions, please feel free, or questions about help, I should say, please feel free to put them in the comments. And I do thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the very last episode, I'm sorry to say.